Today we're talking about the brand new Pioneer DDJ-FLX10. This is a replacement for the DDJ-1000, and this is a pretty significant release to me, because if you were to just say, recommend me a DJ controller, you don't give me any information about price or your platform or anything like that, I would default to the DDJ-1000 until now. So what we want to learn today in the review video is this a good replacement for the 1000? Is it worth upgrading if you have a 1000 to get the new features that this supports? Stuff like track separation, which is the hot new thing right now. How does it stack up against other stuff in this price segment or in this target? For example, stuff like the Rain 4, which is also a 4-channel controller built for Serato that has Serato stem, so it also has so-called track separation technology. So we're going to cover all of this and more in today's video, so stay tuned. I'm David Michael, and this is Passionate DJ. The DDJ-FLX10 or Flex 10 is the new 4-channel flagship DJ controller from Pioneer DJ for both Rekordbox and Serato. It features new track separation technology, which focuses on 3 track elements. There's vocals, drums, and then other instruments. You might be used to hearing the word stems for these separated track elements, but Pioneer DJ refers to them as parts. So since Serato has 4 stem elements, it will combine melody and bass into the instruments part when using this controller. For each part, you can mute or adjust the volume, apply effects, or send to a new deck from exactly the same point. The on-jog displays are improved over the DDJ-1000 with 4 new display modes showing different types of waveform and information. So there's deck info mode, which shows information about the deck and the overall waveform. There's waveform mode, which shows zoomed-in waveforms for both decks, and this will actually be in tri-band color when using Rekordbox. There's the artwork display, which shows track artwork for what's playing, and then the DJ logo display, which shows your own logo or whatever image, which you can upload to the device using the Pioneer Image Transfer tool. The Flex 10 introduces Mix Point Link, and this is a feature which automatically plays the next track exactly when you specify. Now, Pioneer says this enables you to create slick musical progression in your sets by linking mix points in tracks, so the next song kicks in at the perfect moment. Now, there's an onboard DMX output, and this lets you directly control lighting equipment without needing a separate interface or software. You just connect DMX-compatible lighting equipment to the controller and use Rekordbox to create custom lighting effects, or you can set the software to automatically adapt the color and movement of the lights to progress with the music. The Magvel fader has been upgraded for improved precision. It's been moved over to a 4-sensor system, which allows you to make the tiniest volume adjustments, no matter how small the crossfader movement. And it also features multicolored jog rings, which indicate which parts are playing on that deck. So overall, I think that this is a great controller with a great set of features, and if you agree with me, why not buy it from an independent shop like the sponsor of this video, the DJ Hookup? Now, not only do they make my hardware review videos possible, but they're the highest rated online DJ retailer. If you want a DDJ-FLX10 or any other DJ gear for that matter, they are the ones to reach out to. Visit thedjhookup.com and shop online now, or get in their little chat bar to ask advice from one of their friendly reps, like Francisco here. The Hookup is known for their best price guarantee, free shipping, 90-day returns, and more. The DJ Hookup sells DJ equipment to their friends. It's that simple. Now, as we look at the top of this thing, the first thing I'll note is something that I really like about especially higher-end Pioneer DJ gear is that, you know, it looks like audio equipment. It looks like it belongs in the DJ booth. It doesn't look like a toy. It's not super plasticky or cheap looking. It doesn't light up like a disco. It just, you know, looks like a all-in-one compacted version of some CDJs and a DJM mixer. One complaint that I'll bring up once again, as I've mentioned in other videos, is what's up with the gloss black. This thing is so terrible about attracting fingerprints. I've had to wipe this thing down 1,000 times while shooting this video. But all the inputs feel really nice. All the knobs are heavy. All the sliders feel good. All the buttons are nice and clicky. You know, this thing feels, once again, like it belongs in a DJ booth. It feels like Pioneer hardware. It even has the full-sized CDJ style jog wheels over here with adjustable tension, and you know, they spin really freely. These things have gotten really good over the years, where, you know, this used to be the telltale sign that you were using a DJ controller before. It just didn't have that hardware feel to it. Maybe they'd be grindy or whatever. These feel pretty nice, and I'm very happy with that. So yeah, overall it does mimic the CDJ DJM style of setup. We have layout of the decks the same exact on each side, and we have the DJM style 4-channel mixer in the middle. Pretty much this is going to generally look like a DDJ-1000 if you're already familiar with that, with a couple of exceptions that have to do with the track isolation stuff, like these here, that we'll talk about here in just a little bit. But overall, what are you getting when you buy a Flex 10? What is this like to use as a DJ setup? Well, actually, it's pretty nice. You have all the different display modes here on the jog wheels, including a dual waveform view, so you can do a lot less staring at your laptop. You know, these devices are more and more drawing your attention to the center of the hardware rather than over to your laptop screen, which is nice. The beat pads feel high quality. All the buttons, everything just feels great. There's really nothing to complain about there. The layout is intuitive. If you've used any Pioneer DJ gear or really any 4-channel DJ controller in the last decade, you're probably going to know your way around this for the most part, if you just ignore the couple things that are new additions. You've got your browse knobs up here on each side. If you click that in, it will load into the deck which you've chosen over there. And select your different sources up here at the top, which will allow you to select between not only phono and line, but your A and B USB, so you can connect 2 laptops to this at the same time. So if you're, you know, using 2 different DJs connected to 2 different laptops, you can do that. And this is a good time to remind you that this is compatible with both Rekordbox and Serato. The warning that I will always give, and I've given on Flex devices in the past, is though it does support Serato, this is primarily meant with Rekordbox in mind, and so there are occasional compromises if you're going to use something else, even though it says Serato on the front of the controller. Now, that being said, those things are pretty well minimized, and, you know, Pioneer and Serato have definitely worked closely to make sure that there's nothing here that's super confusing. There are a couple differences that have to do with the stems or the track separation that we will talk about in a moment. Of course, it's nice to see a Magville crossfader here, which Pioneer says has been upgraded to a 4-sensor system over the previous 2-sensor system. So if you want to do some scratching, again, this can handle that. With the external inputs, you can even scratch on actual vinyl. So this is a device that is meant to do pretty much anything you want to do as a DJ, whether you're using external sources or mixing in the box with Rekordbox or Serato. So just like on a regular Pioneer hardware mixer, you've got your assignable beat effects over here. You can assign them to a particular channel or to the master output, and I'll do a quick demonstration of some of these effects here. So this is Enigma Jet, a transform, a reverb, spiral, MT delay, a regular echo, and a low-cut echo, your classic flanger, and phaser, a stretch, like a time stretch effect, a slip roll, a regular roll, and then the Mobius saw, triangle. Of course, you also have your sound color effects here. You actually have 6 on this one. So you've got your space, de-echo, a bit crusher, pitch adjuster, a noise generator, and what you will probably most likely often use this for, low and high pass filters. So let's talk about the ports and connections and all the stuff having to do with the back of the controller. Now, first off, you'll be happy to know that it has all the important professional audio hookups that you would want from something in this price point. Namely, both XLR and RCA outputs, balanced quarter-inch booth outputs, and full support for mixing external devices. Now, by the way, a common complaint of the DDJ-1000 was its weak phono preamps, but I'm happy to report that in my testing with vinyl records, the signal on this thing was nice and hot. Now, it's powered by an external 12-volt power brick, so no IEC cable here, but you do get 2 balanced mic inputs, and not only is the Flex 10 dual USB, but it's dual USB-C. So yeah, it's nice to see that DJ companies are fully embracing the standard that other industries already have, so I'm happy with this choice. And finally, there's the onboard DMX port. Now, this lets you connect into a DMX lighting network and run it using Rekordbox lighting. Now, I'm no expert on Rekordbox lighting, and it's a little bit convoluted if you ask me, but in a day or so, I was able to put together this sweet little demo, thanks to a bunch of stuff I borrowed from Mo. One thing about the FLX devices is that so far each one of them has sort of come along with a little bit of a gimmick. So with the Flex 4, you have the smart fader effects and the smart C effects to basically transition from vastly different styles or genres if you want to. On the Flex 6, you have merge effects, which lets you do kind of wild and crazy transitions between one style and another. But they're all kind of macro-based and kind of chained together, you might say gimmicky. The cool thing about the Flex 10 is, though it does kind of carry on the tradition a little bit, the so-called gimmick that the Flex 10 offers is something we actually all want: track separation. So the Flex 10 has several clever implementations of this track separation thing, or so-called stems technology. Now remember, Pioneer DJ is calling each separated piece of a song a part. Now first there's active part and part ISO. Active part means you're literally selecting which parts of the song are active. That's what these 3 buttons are for. They're all on by default, but what if I want to, say, remove the drums? Just hit the button and, like magic, they've disappeared. Or maybe I want just an instrumental, so let's take out the vocals. Now, part ISO lets you do the same thing, but you can control the volume of the individual parts. The EQ knobs instead convert into knobs to control these parts, which is pretty neat, but it does keep you from using your EQ when this feature is active.
Tell me that you were solo, you didn't know you. Tell me how you do.
Now the next feature is called FX Part Select. Now as you might guess from the name, it lets you select which part to apply effects to. And I bet it won't take you long for your imagination to run wild with cool ways that this could be used.
Clinging to the edge, I'm seeing red. Try to recall the best of what you said. Keep us all going, living like I'm cats, I'll never rest. Running right and left, to keep my flag. Need to get going into the unknowns, outside my head.
Now finally, there's part instant doubles. Now this works just like the regular instant doubles feature, which instantly duplicates your track in another deck and plays from the same position. Only this time, it isolates a specific part in that deck. So you could bump just the vocals out to its own deck, and then scratch or apply effects only to the vocals. As you can imagine, this is extremely powerful stuff. Now before we wrap up, I just wanted to show the differences in track separation technology between Rekordbox and Serato, as well as Virtual DJ, since they announced plug-and-play support for the FLX10 as well. So I'll let the results speak for themselves, but I think you'll agree that Rekordbox is a bit behind the others when it comes to this. Now first, here's the original track. Shout out to the homies Crystal Grid.
Saying that to everything else, you are also saying it to yourself, because finally, you do not know where your decisions come from.
Now let's isolate that vocal part and see how it goes. First, Rekordbox.
But in doing that, in saying that to everything else, you are also saying it to yourself, because finally, you do not know where your decisions come from.
Now let's hear Serato.
Saying that to everything else, you are also saying it to yourself, because finally, you do not know where your decisions come from.
And finally, Virtual DJ.
In saying that to everything else, you are also saying it to yourself, because finally, you do not know where your decisions come from. In saying that to everything else, you are also saying it to yourself, because finally, you do not know where your decisions come from.
Wow, so I think Virtual DJ sounds great here, with Serato in a close second. Okay, now let's see how they do with isolating just the instruments. Well, I don't know about you, but to me, Serato wins this round handily. He manages to pull out the side-chained sax and pads and not much else. Super clean. Rekordbox is functional, but still needs some polish in this department. And so from there, what are my final thoughts on the FLX10? Well, it's certainly a worthy successor to the DDJ-1000. but is it worth the cost of an upgrade if you already have one of those? Well, if you're not interested in stems or track separation, nah, not really. I mean, you'd be paying for wasted features. But if this is something that you want to get into and you're otherwise happy with the way that your DDJ-1000 works, yeah, it's absolutely worth it for that DJ. What about this versus the competition? Well, I haven't produced my Rain 4 video yet, so I'll have to wait to give my complete and thorough thoughts on this versus that. But I will say, my gut instinct is to say that if you're more interested in Rekordbox, get this. If you're more interested in Serato, get the Rain. There are some limitations of using this in non-Rekordbox software. For example, you don't get mix point link. This is not something that I think I plan on using myself, but it is worth noting. The pads aren't labeled correctly for Serato, there's only one jog display mode, and you don't get DVS support unless you own Serato Suite. Outside of this, the Serato integration is pretty tight. Finally, is it a worthy replacement for the 1000 as far as, my default recommendation for a DJ controller? That one I'm less sure about. The 1000 was easy because even if it were a bit overkill for someone, it would have everything you needed for basic DJing. This is that, plus a bunch of stuff for stems at a higher cost, so I could accept that stems or track separation is just a part of modern DJing now, or I could accept that not all DJs care about this feature. It remains to be seen how important this will be in the grand scheme of DJing, but at $1,600, I might need to rethink my default recommendation. But I do know I'll be adding it to my ever-popular controllers guide, which you can always find at passionatedj.com/controllers. So there you have it, folks. That is the Flex 10, or the DDJ-FLX10. I hope you enjoyed this review video, and I hope it was helpful for you. Once again, if you've decided that this is the device for you, head on down to the description or go on over to the djhookup.com. They made this video possible. Search it up in their search bar or bring it up in their little chat bar, whatever you're comfortable with, and order yours there. They'll take good care of you. I'm David Michael. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, keep on spinning.